I am an astrologer because I think I've spent lifetimes being an astrologer. I say I come from evolutionary because clearly I am connected to the past life story. So I focus in on helping people see what did you come in with, what was the past story, what are we moving towards on the big mission. And I focus on the profit piece because there is a space where spirituality and money do mix. So I actually help people build businesses in two separate ways. The first, through the lens of astrology, we talk about once you have picked your business, you get it started, you've chosen the date, time, place, that your business actually gets its own chart. It gets its own energy, right? And when you see the return on what you're doing and you get in alignment spiritually with the fact that this thing you're building is meant for profit and for impact, there is a return on that investment spiritually and financially that gets every entrepreneur excited to get up and keep doing what they're doing or to grow or to advance it. And that is in the soul story of that person's chart.
What if the secret to your success were written in the stars? Renowned astrologer and business mentor Stormie Grace takes you on a powerful journey into the transformative world of astrology, where business growth meets the rhythm of feminine energy and cosmic alignment. Discover how understanding your lunar phases, embracing the Venus archetype, and decoding business birth charts can revolutionize the way you work, rest, and thrive. With wisdom on aligning with natural cycles and overcoming the hustle culture, Stormie offers a fresh perspective on creating success that's deeply intuitive and truly sustainable. It's now time to tune into this one very inspirational human being. Enjoy. So, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what side of the globe you are sitting on at this very moment. We have another amazing guest for you, all the way from Spain. We have the beautiful Stormie Grace. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And hello to everyone, no matter what time of day it is.
Yeah, I know. And we were just having a good conversation about Europe. So it was wonderful to even go there, Stormie. I love it. So the way that we love to start the show is we always love to ask our guest, what inspired you to do what you do today?
That is the most brilliant, and I feel like a hard question because if I pan all the way back, I am an astrologer because I think I've spent lifetimes being an astrologer. When I was 6, almost 7, my mom took me to a metaphysical fair, the ones at the local auditorium, because she just realized I was experiencing the world a little bit different than my brothers, the boys. I was moving with things that seemed to be in between the world. And I just thought, well, these are clearly my people. But it wasn't the tarot people, it wasn't the numerology people. We went to this table of this woman who was handwriting a chart, an astrology chart. And I just was watching her, and I felt like I was watching her do something that I had done 100 times, and it wasn't this epiphany for me. It simply was not. It was yeah, okay, obviously she's going to delineate this and this, and I'm 6 and I'm in my element. And so, I mean, I think honestly, I'm an astrologer because I've probably always been an astrologer. Unless as I teach astrology and I help people do that, it comes from a life that's longer than this one that I can remember. But why I do what I do now inside of the business that I built and then expanded is because I've had the opportunity to grow up in public and change and get clear and honest with myself about who I am, what I'm doing, and to let life hit me a little bit and shape me. And that has made me, it's given me clarity to see who and how I can help. And that is what inspires me to do what I do now. I am only doing what I am built to do. I'm not trying to fight the world and do all the things and be all the things. I've been relieved of that ship. I'm inspired deeply to help with the things that I know that I can help with today. And that's why I do it.
That's beautiful. And for those that are seeing you for the first time, what's your specialty? What area in astrology? Because astrology is quite it's vast, it's huge. What do you specifically hone into?
Yeah, so I'm an evolutionary and a humanistic practitioner. Those are the two camps I came from the camp of Stephen Forrest and Noel Till. And those are my lineages. And I say I come from evolutionary because clearly I am connected to the past life story. So I focus in on helping people see what did you come in with? What was the past story? What are we moving towards on the big mission? Because I do like practicalities, like, okay, what are we doing here? And so we see the past story and where you're going, and that's great. But now, what in the world are you going to do with that? Like, as a human being, what are you going to do with that? And that's where my humanistic training comes in because it very embodies the person. Okay, here's my mission. Here's what I came from, but here's who I am, and how do I develop that, work with that, use that. So I say that I'm the type of astrologer that's like, yeah, that's what you came in with, but what are you going to do with it? And that's where I help people. In addition to that, the last few years has brought out my more academic training, which is also past life training for me as well. I'm a South Node in Capricorn. So I was used to being the big boss, the big kahuna, right? So I help creative entrepreneurs build and grow profitable businesses, and I focus on the profit piece because there is a space where spirituality and money do mix if we can understand that. So I get to help in both realms, and I love it.
I love that. We've actually had Stephen Forrest on the show, and we did talk about it's interesting what you were saying. It's like even understanding. I've got my South Node. I'm a Scorpion rising. My South Node is in my first house and in Neptune, and so we talked about even knowing my past and knowing what I've come here to learn. It's about what do you do with this information? How do you actually activate it, and how do you play this out? And it's a very conscious thing, I think,
Yeah.
because when we're not consciously aware of, am I repeating these patterns and where am I going with this? It's the work. It's constant. I love the
Yeah.
fact that you alluded to the Capricorn, your South Node, and because this is something you and I spoke about before we came into the this interview, was we've never had anyone talk about business, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs, and we do have a lot of business owners that follow us and watch the show, and so I'd really love to kind of really understand more about what is it that you help others see as an entrepreneur, for those entrepreneurs and business owners out there? How can they weave astrology into their business? Because I know that look, I've heard that the royal family use it as to making decisions. What are we going to be launching when, and what are we going to be doing with this information? Is this the right time? Is this the wrong time? So I'd love to really unpack a little bit of that side of things, if that would be okay with you, of course.
Yes, absolutely. So it's interesting in a couple ways when I'm teaching in two different realms, because I have Stormie Grace, which is my astrology practice, and that is wonderful, and it's all things astrology, and I love that. And then I have Legatia Academy, which Legatia is Latin for legacy, because I believe in helping people leave that very Capricorn South Node a legacy with what they're doing. So I actually help people build businesses in two separate ways. The first, through the lens of astrology, we talk about once you have picked your business, you get it started, you've chosen the date, time, place, that your business actually gets its own chart. It gets its own energy. And from there, learning to work with it and to read it, you can see what is the purpose of my business? How is it meant to serve the best? And this helps. They say that astrology, business coaching, psychology, all of them, you can find out all of the same information, but astrology, we just do it faster. Or like, look, you got to look to the fifth house, you know? So when you cast your business chart, we get a quick glimpse at, okay, what does the marketing need to look like? What's the purpose really of this business? So through that lens, you get the opportunity to like breathe into this thing that has materialized into the world and let it also be a part of your journey by reading it. What is this? Who is this? How is this going to develop? How is this really the best one to save the world, right? What are going to be the holdups? How does this business actually do with money? How is it going to do with partnership with other people? So that's a really brilliant lens that people can come in and go through. But Legatia is as Saturnian as it sounds. It's structure. And I think that's one of the things I love about business is that if you build a structure or a model and you tell things where to go, it'll go there. Business is just business. It is brilliant at its baseline structure. So in Legatia, what I get to do is love and nurture on the creative entrepreneur because you know how we are. We're like, oh, listen, I do astrology and I play a ukulele on the weekends and I also got a bit of massage and I'm not sure how to bring that all together. You know, we're very eclectic humans like that. And in Legatia, I give you a second to be seen like that. And then I say, let's put that down for a minute. I'm going to show you a very specific structure. You can wrap your business in it. And with that structure, then you can unleash your creativity and let it help you to avoid burnout because the structure is going to work. Right. And when you see the return on what you're doing and you get in alignment spiritually with the fact that this thing you're building is meant for profit and for impact, there is a return on that investment spiritually and financially that gets every entrepreneur excited to get up and keep doing what they're doing or to grow or to advance it. And that is in the soul story of that person's chart. So I get to help in two ways. One is more exploratory, which I encourage people don't come to the exploratory place if your business is not profitable. Let's get it profitable, then let's make it bigger.
So for those, because I hear, I mean, it's a common thing. You hear people going into business and lucky the last 12 months. And, you know, and I also hear the other thing is, they're very passionate about, let's say, doing astrology. And we actually have quite a few individuals that do astrology as part of our academy. It's like, well, how do I get a business from it? How do I make a business from it? So it's almost like you can't use your passions and turn that into a business. But you're talking about once you understand the structure, it doesn't matter what your passion is, you can actually put your passion through the structure and it will work.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to do it the other way around is exhausting. And I think it's why we see a lot of people in a lot of burnout. And more than that, if we track it back, like, why are they so burnt out? And for me, where I focus on profitability. What kind of money are you making to sustain your business and to sustain your life? Right? Because why start a business? Why go out and do your own thing? If it's not going to sustain your life, that's exhausting. It's draining. And as a woman, I spent a fair amount of time in the game doing what society said was the right thing and well-intentioned, right? Which was neutralize everything about myself and just be steady, straight, consistent, hustling like a man. My energy doesn't work like that. Listen, a little perimenopause will really cue you in that that ain't it, right? And so what I get to see now in this particular space is that no, I have to build a structure that can contain the fact that I seem to live in cursive. Right? As a woman, the wonderful chaos. Women are chaos and it's lovely and it's beautiful. But in that chaos, I can't tell you that every day I'm going to be a content making machine because I'm passionate about this. No, I might not be. So I need a structure that works no matter what. It is allowing me to be profitable, allowing this thing to take care of my business and my life and the vision that I have and to leave an impact. And then within it, oh, I get to unfold and create and bring my passion to the table and share it. And, sometimes things will pop out of me or I'm like, guys, you want to study about this? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, you can take this course and it's built in this structure. So I know that it'll get to you, it will make money, it will have impact, and I don't have to think about it.
That's amazing. One thing I did because I always look from an astrological point of view. I always look at what's on my transits, where am I? I've not really looked at my business in itself. So, which is really interesting because that's a bit of a slap, an etheric slap. Just them, like I've never looked at that, like the business aspect, the astrological aspect of my business. But obviously, you would merge the two, right? You would look at the entrepreneur that is involved and see, are we aligned? Because I think also like, some individuals have got amazing ideas, but they're always hitting roadblocks, or, some of the entrepreneurs that we work with are just not making money from their business.
Mhm.
So can you
Mhm.
see through their business whether they're going to make it or break it?
Not necessarily. What you can see from the business, and I do understand what you're saying, but what you can see from the business chart is, first of all, what's the business meant to do and how is it best going to do it? You know what I mean? If you've got a business chart that has Cancer at the ascendant, or, is a very emotional chart, it's going to be a little bit more of a moody business, and you need to learn to work with that particular vibration. And maybe one of the best things you can do is, if that is not in alignment with your chart, is get a VA. Let your VA be that Capricorn at the descendant part that can really provide some stabilization, right? But in and of itself, starting first, once you're established and you have your structure, then looking at the business chart is easier to see how to let it be successful. It's just easier. And then, yeah, from there, we can layer the charts and look at the business and the individual in that synastry to see how it goes and see where there's going to be some holdups. Absolutely. These things can all be seen through the lens of using the astrological charts. But I do think, still to this day, the longer I do it, passionate people are good at passion. They're not always good at structure. So
So
you've
true.
got to, it's very Saturnian. It's very Saturnian. It's like you just need the right model around that so that you can be as passionate or whatever as you'd like to be. It really breaks my heart to see creative people not profitable. It
Yeah.
breaks my.
So when you were talking about structure, just high level, what other structures that an entrepreneur or a business owner need to take into consideration to be successful, regardless of what creative project or what passion they have that they would like to bring into this structure?
Well, so there's a couple things. And the first is, like, really, how do you want to deliver that structure? Right? What is going to be your medium? And I encourage people, especially through my business school, we focus a lot on the quick way to become profitable is to, of course, do consultations, coachings, things like that, where you can jump in and you can be in that one-on-one or that group space, right? Because I focus on profitability, I'm going to look for the structures that are going to allow you to get to that as quickly as possible. But I much more prefer the structures that allow you to take your hands off once you've delivered your information, whether that is a webinar or they are courses. I really believe strongly in courses, because if you can teach someone something over and over and over again, it might be old news to you, but to someone else, that is their pot of gold. You can take your hands off that once you've done it, right? So in these structures, because again, my focus is profitability for the entrepreneur while they're making impact, I'm going to say, which of these structures are you prepared to build and focus on so that you have them? But you just have to make the decision. Now, it doesn't mean that that's all. I know people have thriving, wonderful communities and these kinds of things. This takes more tending. I want you to be making some money and making an impact while you are having a rest or having your tea or just being you. That's what I want for you, like some ease. But that takes, you have to sit down and do it. And sometimes that is challenging for passionate people until I think you come into the space with a coach or mentorship that supports that and kind of walks that journey with you.
Absolutely. No, and I love that. And I agree with that. You need to have a variety of things. You can't just, I think, put all your eggs in that one basket and hope for it to happen. You've got to look at the ways that you can diversify your business. So I do love that. Absolutely. So when you're still when you're looking in your own business about, because you were talking about, and I'd love to unpack the whole Venus archetype that you came in with before, but
Yeah.
when you're looking at your business, obviously, I think with time, all businesses evolve, right? They change, they change shape, form, and evolve into something, I mean, even for us, we're always looking, taking feedback and always evolving. How does retrograde, because obviously we've got lots of retrogrades coming up over the next few months. How does that play out? Some people look at it as a great way to pivot their business, and others make decisions that, oh no, I'm not going to do anything because Mercury is in retrograde or Mars is retrograde. I'd love to hear about how you navigate through retrogression.
Yeah, well, I am of the camp that I think that, listen, I think the entire human cosmic experience is just like a conspiracy to have us living our best lives. So, to say first that I come from that perspective, right? I do view the retrogrades as a gift because it can't be forward motion all the time. So, in retrogrades, and I celebrate the retrogrades of all of them. If you follow my astrological work, I'm like Pluto's in pre retrograde shadow time, which is like all the time, like, but I'm on board for all of it. But I am going to focus on what needs to be reviewed at that time. And there is always something in business, in my personal life, that I can stop, have a breathe, and turn around and go, is that sorted? Is that done? Is that done the way that I would like it to be? I think that retrograde times for business and personal life are a great time to look at your structures. Is that producing the way that I want? What are the analytics on that? As business owners as well, maybe you have someone keeping your books, keeping your whatever. Do you know what your books are doing? Retrograde's a great time to learn that, ask questions. However, if in your business chart you have Mercury retrograde in that business chart, then the retrograde time is going to be the time to stop thinking about what you wanted to do with that project and launch. Come on out here. Your Mercury is very comfortable. Produce, produce, produce. And it's so great because I just hold this vision, everyone's running back inside to think about the things and review the documents. And I'm like, all of you who have Mercury retrograde, get out here, throw your ideas out into the world. We'll sort it out when Mercury goes direct. So I think looking at the chart, and seeing and recognizing that one of those planets that maybe is retrograde in your chart is going to be more comfortable when it's retrograde in the sky. Get out here, use it, use that time, because that's going to be really helpful to you.
I do love that, and I think it's the meaning we give every situation. And it's what we do with it. It's going back to what you were saying. When you look at your karma or what you've come in here to experience, it's that free will piece, right? It's how we make meaning to what's present in our cosmic environment. So I love that. I'd love to really talk about what you were sharing with, if that's okay too, about your business, the shift in your business since you've moved. And I'd love to really unpack the Venus archetype, which I love the fact that you actually are embodying the whole Venus archetype.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Well, this is actually, I think it's a good place too to share another principle that I do use, especially astrologically. It's heavy in my practice. It's where I start with people. And I work a lot in the natal and the progressed lunar phases. And this is really, I think, important. And I would encourage everyone to at least become aware of their natal lunar phase. It's just the shape of light, the dance between the sun and the moon at the time that you were born. But what that hands us is some signatures that, first of all, tell us what are your kind of emotional default settings? Like, what are those base level buttons, right? But also, what are the gifts and talents and challenges and things that are supposed to come into your life? And from there, what understanding that at a base level to me does is allows every single one of us to give ourselves grace with ourselves and to say, This is actually how I'm made. And this is the best way to take care of me now, because maybe you are a faster shape of light and you're over here trying to make yourself get on board with sitting down leg cross meditation, and that is not going to help you at all, right? Some grace and some real self-knowledge, a lot of self-accountability, right, for understanding that. Now, from there, I also look at the progressed lunar phase, because like you were saying before, we do shift, we do change. And if you stay alive, you are going to get into a new progressed lunar phase, and everybody gets them. It's not like you get the lotto. It's winter, spring, summer, fall, and we all go through them. But I feel like it's so important to talk about that progressed lunar phase, because first of all, we can have the best transits going in the world. Like, oh my God, my Venus return, I'm living my best life. Maybe you're not, because if you are in deep winter, you have some specific things to be working with very, very slowly. And it's going to last you 3.5 years. So this is a long set of time to walk people with understanding. Here's the season of life that you are in. Don't work against your season of life. Let's work with it and make every decision that we can here. But also, whether it be personally or in business, you can plan by seeing what season you're going into. Now, in terms of coming out with Stormie Grace, I came out at the very end just practicing. I came out and I was in my progressed full moon time, and I just started to do my little thing, and it was all well and good. But I planned, I said, my disseminating phase will be coming up in about 2 years, and I want to be ready. I want to be ready, because in a disseminating time, which is the last part of fall, and a disseminating time in my life, I knew I was going to have 3 years to make a name, push the product, put it out, put it out, put it out. And that is damn well what I did. That is absolutely what I did. I was ready when the call came, because you can plan as well. And in that 3.5 years, I also said, I need to use this to get as much out and make as much of a name as I can, because when I go into my 7 years of winter and I need to clean up and I will slow down, I want to be able to sell passive products. I want to be able to have an income stream built and a name that people can trust and see my work. And so they feel comfortable working with me. And that is to get to coming to, how my business changed. That was a huge thing. I looked at my progressed lunar phase. I said, okay, we're almost there. We're almost at this beginning of winter time, and I will start to die off. I will start to turn away from everything I have built and known for the last 20 years of my life. And it is going to be a come apart at a massive level. And I knew that. So I said, where is the safest place that I can be to allow that to happen to? If the poo-poo really hit the fan, it wouldn't matter, because I could still be okay. I could take care of my girls, my parents, all the things I take care of. And we came and scouted Spain. And we didn't mean to be doing that. I was heading to Germany because my lineage is from Germany. So I was like, I'll just go get my citizenship by descent. And I was shared with you, Catherine, that a random video popped up on my little timeline while I was watching Germany videos on YouTube, and it was Seville, Spain. And I knew to watch it. And I knew to watch it. And I did. And I said to my husband, let's go scout Seville, Spain. And we did. And we live here. We've been here for over a year. And the minute I got here, Venus just grabbed me and was like, sit down. We're going to talk about femininity, and you are going to help people. And it was the most loving but firm. And I created a 22-day program that I don't really think I created. I was just a channel for it to come through. And then I was instructed to take my program. And really what it came down to is I had genuinely lived in the world just trying to live like a man. I was not in alignment with my cycle. I was like, you don't cry, keep your emotions together. You need to just, you cannot be. And that is not it. That is not it. I am not the same woman every week. And that is something that I was very disconnected from. was that femininity. And here in my come apart, that has been a huge piece of it. Coming back to it, coming back to the conversation of where am I in my cycle, coming back to receiving. What's my relationship with receiving and rest and just attracting to me what I want. And, maybe on Tuesday, I'm in the luteal phase and I'm bench pressing the couch and I'm ready to go and ravaging my husband. And Saturday, I'm like, hey, all bets are off, like, but being okay with the chaos that is being a woman and breathing it in. And where else to do that but Spain, where the women here are a powerful force. Oh, they are magnetic and wonderful. And it's not all of this feminine, masculine, they just are being themselves, doing what they do. They're in alignment with their cycle, they're in alignment with practicalities of life. And that has allowed the masculine container to make sure that that feminine container is quite safe and can move as it needs to. It's been an absolutely different and brilliant experience. And in that, it softened me to how I will work in my business and to showing other people that it's okay to work differently as well. In all of my programs now, I really talk about where are you at in your cycle, even if you're post-menopause, where are you? How are you doing? Where do you see yourself cycling? Because it's not always push hustle time. I'm going to teach you to build the container that you want and then be like Venus, attract it. Just attract it. Just receive. What's in the way? What's blocking that receptivity? Let's talk about that. There is a 6-lesson module in my Legatia Academy program about the beliefs and the blocks around money. And it all stems from Venus, like this: I'm allowed to have, I'm not allowed to have, I have to hustle to get it. I'm bad if I have money, I'm bad if I receive, and I'm not breaking my back and my heart to get it. Some just really different concepts. And it has been embraced beautifully, beautifully. And so I really am excited to bring that change to the world. And I don't know how many times I've sat in our live group sessions with some of the women in my program and just made space for them to want to be soft and to want to have time where they can be, not off of work, but off in their heads, but in their bodies. I can tell you, watching some of the women we started in the program, and they were completely as disconnected as I was from themselves, from their body, from their own ownership and intuition, and watching them come back on and say, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. And it's not I think that's right. It's not I feel like that's right. It's like, yeah, intuitively, that's right for me. And I think that has been a gift with the following the lunar phase, following how to use that, so it's all kind of jumbled together. And as you can probably tell, I'm still making my way through what that all means. But what is pouring out of me today is being well received and helping. And I'm loving it.
I know. And, as you're speaking about it, I was feeling the emotions from you as well, which is really, really beautiful. And it's interesting because I'm always on, and I can relate to the whole masculine, obviously having my own business. I'm always on the go. Not at all, actually, in a space of receiving. So as I'm listening to you, I'm going, that's me, that's me, that's me. But how do you, because I know that there's, as I said before, there are a lot of women entrepreneurs and business owners, and it's almost like, and I was saying this just yesterday, that somebody was saying that you should treat your business as somebody else is spending or investing 24 hours trying to take it off you. So can you imagine just the thought of having someone trying to take your business off you means that you need to be on the business the whole time to keep it alive and keep it growing. And because obviously with, I've been in business since 2009, we're always looking at how do we expand, how do we grow? And that's what I was saying to you. We've just opened up an office in a European office, but you're constantly on. So just hearing you speak about really embodying the Venus archetype, it is one of those things that I am obviously having to practice.
Yeah. And
Because
Catherine, it's going to get with the current transit that we're going to experience with transiting Pluto moving into Aquarius. Now, we've done a little bit of testing. So, anybody listening, I invite you, if this is something you're interested in, if you're not interested in what I'm going to say, to tap out. But we started to experience that Pluto moving into Aquarius, which is a generational, it is also a societal movement planet. In 2023, we had a very small taste. And as Pluto moved into Aquarius, it moved from Capricorn, which is a high feminine vibration, into a masculine container. And right then and there, we started to see women's cycles getting really erratic. Stuff started to happen, like women were essentially coming into a bit of chaos because in a high masculine vibration, femininity will naturally move to a receptive energy. Then we got a larger taste of that in 2024. And what I have seen is women craving the off, craving a receptivity while also being able to just build something that we can tend to lovingly because it comes from a place of creativity. Venus in itself, your sexual energy that is embodied in is creative. It's fun, it's playful, it's not stressed until it's stressed, right? And I've seen women craving that and not sure how to get back to that. Now, as we travel the rest of this month and then all through 2024 and really moving to 2043, we're going to be in a masculine container. And I genuinely believe that every woman is going to be put in a position to ask the question of what is my relationship with rest and receiving? And I think that because Pluto is destructive in nature, it destroys to empower. In that masculine container, we will say, I don't want to grow multiple things. I want to grow one beautiful thing that I pour into that gives and gives and gives and gives, because that is what's natural. And that'll let me receive while also multiplying, right? So, I get it when you say the always on, and your timing is incredible, because when we saw Pluto move into Capricorn, this high go get it feminine energy was 2008 until 2023, right? Like you were probably just like I was out here getting it, hustling, I got the things. And there are plenty of things that I did that my male counterparts were trying to do, and I did it. And I did it, and I made it, and I got the money, and I got the title, and I did all the things. And what I found come towards the end of that is it's like my relationships were rocky because I just didn't even know how to be present and to be kind and to vibrate with creativity, to vibrate. And it's not that it's forced. It's not like, Stormie, you woman, get in the kitchen, be pregnant, do that, right? It's like, I'm genuinely creative and funny, and I sing in the grocery store, and I'm kind, and I don't want to be hustling all of the time. I was so disconnected from that in my relationships, but you hand me something and I could touch it and make it make money. At the same time, just to speak to this, we did see something else that I think will also help. It's a helper while it's being destroyed, is that because Capricorn is such that high feminine energy, we did see a lot of men become infantilized, because when the feminine energy vibration is too high for too long, instead of having it be a building, it can, in that masculine energy, infantilize it. And we do know in society, we're seeing a lot more men, especially between the ages of 30 and 40, who are absolutely unaware of their purpose or their power in any way. And they're not guided by a balanced, connected feminine vibration. It's angry, It's the fight of even our grandmothers that we have taken on, right? And as Pluto moves into Aquarius and that masculine container comes up, I think that we'll even watch in all societies and communities, women will step back because in receptivity is where the power is at. And it may give our men a chance to come up, and we have an opportunity to have this balancing. And so, what it means in terms of business is I think we might see more business partnerships coming into healthy balance, right? And then businesses can be more direct because you get that feminine vibration that is like, yeah, give me something, give me an idea, give me a direction, I'll multiply it. I can do that because that's what I'm going to do. And you take it out, you drive it that way. And letting that masculine energy do that because we're not going to want to do it anymore. So, and you know what? I could be completely wrong.
No, I'm relating to everything you're saying. Absolutely. And it's interesting because I've come to that point, and I was telling you, just being in Europe, just the different energy. It's out of your head into your heart. And it's so liberating instead of always thinking about where to from here, because you're always like, oh, we're already planning for 2025, right? So you're always thinking ahead of time. But to be in the present moment with what is, it is about, because while I was away, it was very much about what is it that I need to let go of,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't until I got there, the heaviness, as I was saying to you, like it's like people are experiencing life. And I was like, wow, like what has happened to my life? Like, because they're all about life and experience and just to be and to go for walks and to have food and, and nobody there has a full-time one job. It's got part-time. Everyone does little bits of everything.
Yeah.
You do find that in Spain as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're happy,
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, work is hard. I'm tired. I'm always tired. Yeah, but you want to take a cafe? And I'm like, yeah, but they're happy and they're in their lives and they're in their bodies. And in Spain, oh my goodness, they're always with each other. And that I love because they're always outside together somewhere. The babies, the 90-year-olds, the little old dogs who are hobbling around. Everybody's outside together. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it is because when you were talking about Pluto and Aquarius is my fourth house as well. And I'm a lot more feeling, like obviously the emotions, a lot more things that as I'm dropping more, and I'm going to be practicing dropping into my heart as much as possible. But I'm really experiencing that now. So when you're talking about the emotions and the chaos, I'm really experiencing that.
Is, and I really, no matter what, wherever Pluto is active, we're going to be transiting through your personal astrology chart. And if anybody needs to know how to find that, I have wonderful videos on YouTube to show you how to do that. But Pluto started in that 2023 jam to present our pain points to us. And the thing about Pluto is it's not a quick passing pain point. You are backed into the corner with something that is an old belief, an old behavior, and it's not working anymore. And in Aquarius, it's so much about what's in the mind. What's the story? What have you been telling yourself will make you you? Right. And so we've all in different ways, whether it's around the money, the karma, the relationships, the sex, the siblings, the feelings have been backed into a corner. And you know that you're there because no matter where you turn, you can't get out until you let go. And it's the thing is that sounds great because don't we want to be the change we want to see in the world? F word, no, it's really painful. It's really painful because what it means is a drastic overhauling and shedding of what we thought was the thing. And I don't know anything scarier for human beings to be put in a position that is that deep. It digs from the root of what was the story of this will make me the thing, especially in the world. And the rise back to authenticity is what it will bring. Without that story, who are you, what are you, and what is enough to support you to do that, to have that, to be that, right?
Oh,
It's painful.
absolutely. And I see it more as a breakdown to
Mm-hmm.
get to a breakthrough. So it is a tough thing. But as you're saying, you're going from, from within under. It's like that real breaking down I always look at the rise of the phoenix. I don't know why that's just coming to mind, but it's, and then to have that openness and the
Yeah.
breakthrough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is, I mean, that is the way that I see it. That's the way that I envision it for sure. For all of us, we just, you know, I have a lot of Venus in my chart naturally, so I really like things to be pleasant and to be comfortable. And I'm kind of at this place where I'm like, listen, the Phoenix burns to the ground. Let's be very clear. It's not a light crisp. Okay. It's rough. It's rough. But then when it rises, the new colors, the new shapes, and to burn down ideas that are linked not only through the brain, but they've been stored in my pelvic bowl, they've been stored in my knee, they've been stored in my back. And I think that's just an ache, and it's literally an old thought. I've got to work that out. So, what does that look like? You know, is that going to look like I'm going to go through months of constipation because I am literally physically trying to get an idea out and it is so stuck, right? There are going to be, I think, some real physical implications to the breakdown to breakthrough. But you're right, on the other side, what is there is gold, and what is on the other side of it is who at current I think you really are. And that is the way that whether it's in our personal lives or in our businesses, we're going to get honest about what is enough and what allows me to live in the vibration that I'm actually built for. And that's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I did have one thing pop to mind just now, is because I hear it a lot too. And from a business perspective, from a personal perspective, that 2024 is really just the preparation of what's to come for 25 and 26. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. You know, from a kind of like a kind of an overview. What do you see for us, as in, because we were just talking about the whole Pluto, the transit into Pluto into Aquarius. What do you see for 25, 26 as a whole, whether it's business or personal? Some of the
Oh,
themes.
I think, yeah, I think they're going to go together. But certainly, I do agree that 2024, especially because we got so much more Pluto, honestly, it still was a fair amount of like honest breaking down. But it did leave some shreds of new evidence, like, you know, the beginning of the Phoenix's beak is like out. We're getting there, okay, and it's quite good. But it's like 24, I feel like, all right, the bones are good. The bones are good. Let's keep going with that. And then in 2025, I think we get to take a bigger chew into making it a reality and bringing it to fruition. But again, I will say, I encourage everybody to look at where you're at in your progressed lunar phase, because if you're listening to any one of us astrologers talk about how 25 you're going to build the thing, if you're in deep winter, you have to build differently. And what you may be building is your bridge to compassion and forgiveness and freedom. And that's a lot of work as well, as opposed to, you know, your empire. But going beyond that, we have other transits that are going to be around and awake. Uranus will move into Gemini, new ideas. Oh, don't we need some of those? Don't we need some of those? Because Uranus and Taurus from 2018 until now has been also digging through us, but it's been sending like lightning bolts through us where it's like, hey, did you know you have this skill and this talent? And it's like, no, I didn't actually know that. Because if you think about a lightning bolt hitting a mountain, woof, right? Like mountains don't like to be moved. Taurus does not like to be, you know, jostled. They don't like to be jostled. And then you shake that thing up. But what happens when we shake up Earth? First of all, yeah, the bodies rise to the surface. Hey, this is BS. You need to deal with that. But the gems and the jewels and the minerals that have been down there, we didn't know that we had, that comes alive as well. And it's like, these are valuable. I have this skill. I love in this way. I receive in this way. And that's valuable. And that has helped shaped all that Pluto was also presenting. So we move that to 2025 and we see Uranus come into Gemini, and it's a whole new way of not only how I'm going to present my business, but what I want to talk about. Gemini, what do I want to communicate? Who do I want to communicate that to? Right? So it's this completely different mind frame. So here you are with your good bones, beaks out. Let's start to present that. Let's start to present that in a very different way, and also into a world that's ready to receive it. Because what are you going to do if your people that you really help You're in Colorado, but they're in India. We need tech. So we see the world being ready to receive its new teachers, presenting their new ideas as well. Last I'll say is that there's plenty of transits, but Jupiter will move into Cancer as well. So old ideas that we're ungrowing or outgrowing, regrowing into around the family and what makes family family will be some very practical things that I think we're going to be looking for some experience in and seeing how the wisdom of what we know today can actually benefit those units. So I think those are going to be amazing things and we should be excited.
I love it. And I am excited. And I see that already as you're talking through the shifts. I can see that. I can actually see that in not just in my own business and my own life, but I can see those other companies and organizations that we work with, what they're transforming. It's funny that everybody's going through whether it's a minor or major transformation in their business. They're really starting to see things differently, or they're like, why didn't we see this, last year? Why didn't we see this? It's like, it's these epiphany and insights are really taking place now. It's like there's really, light bulb moments is what you were talking about. Like light bulb moments are really already starting to take place. Like we're
Yeah.
moving into that.
Yeah, it's happening and it really is this kind of firing off here, there, and everywhere. And it's very exciting to see people coming awake to that. And that's the exciting part. But the other part that comes with it really is, I think, the Pluto in Aquarius energies, that it's also burning down old associations. I don't fit here anymore because of not because it's bad, but because what I believe and where I want to go and who I know now I can authentically serve and what I authentically believe is this direction. And it's really, I know that this is a bit of a button to press, but I want to stay astrologic in it. When we look at the break of Pluto and Aquarius, the break from my old camp of people, and where maybe something authentic is, a direction that I want to go, I think that looking at the US election this year was a really Pluto in Aquarius kind of acknowledgement, right? And again, I want to really keep it astrologic, but 8 states that were never swing states became swing states because there is a different alignment, and that's huge. So I just bring it back to the person because that's in a macro, but we can always see the macro and the micro. So in my own home, in my own life, who am I breaking away from? Because I just don't think that way anymore. It's not good or bad. That's just not in alignment with me anymore. And we're going to continue to see this in our personal lives. And some of those associations are 30 years old. And the ideas and the mind frame is not aligned anymore. And that's okay because it means we can shift into alignment with where we can really serve, right? So, yeah.
100% agree with all of that. Yeah,
It's
100%.
and I know. So hopefully that doesn't get anybody too worked up. I try and keep it astrologic, but we expected to see these things astrologically. So there we go. We did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, even yourself, like the shift in your business from that whole, embodying the Venus archetype and now how you're approaching your business very differently. You're kind of much more in that receiving end and we're receptive to what you've built over time, right? So I love the fact that you can see that in your own life as well.
Yeah, I always think that we can see the macro in the micro, right? We started with the planets because we're just made of what they are. So when something happens there, it's like plucking a guitar string. Every space of that guitar string is going to receive that vibration. And we see it in public. Okay, cool. But then we take it down to my family, and then I take that down to myself. And it's always playing out that way. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to track.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful. I am so conscious of your time, Stormie. And so what we'll do is we will look at how would you like to wrap up our session. The way that we wrap up our session is we always love to leave 3 shiny golden nuggets for our audience. So what would be those 3 shiny golden nuggets that you would like to leave for our audience today?
I think the most practical thing I want to leave first is I just want everyone to go out and look at what natal or progressed, really progressed lunar phase you are in your life right now. And there are, if you just go online, you can type in progressed lunar phase calculator and it'll pull it up for you and give you a little description of that so that first of all, you can have some peace and not fight against your life. Live in the season of life that you are actually in. Because when we live against it, one of the first things we do is we get hurt or we get sick, right? So live the right season, make the decisions in the correct season for yourself, and work with that season and what it's trying to bring you. This will revolutionize your life in doing that one thing. I think my second nugget is, yeah, if you are a woman, ask the question of what is my relationship with rest, with receptivity, with how do I feel about men? How do I feel there? Like, do I have that tension that builds up and I'm angry? And is that your fight? Is that yours or is that the one someone told you to be in? So look at your relationship with coming back into that restful place, I think would be great. And my last shiny golden nugget, oh my goodness, I feel like I have 10,000 of them. Listen to more of Catherine's podcast. I think that that would be a great nugget. Let new mentors and new thoughts come into your space because that's really how we learn. If we're going to outlearn or discard old ideas that don't work for us anymore, we have to be able to change that out with new ones. And you've got plenty of beautiful people, visionary, leading the way, sharing new thoughts. So bring it into your life.
Thank
I
you.
was not paid to say that, by the way.
No, I was about to say, by the way, everyone, I did not pay Stormie to say that. And it was interesting when you talked about the second shiny gold nugget. When I was thinking about how do I receive and how do I rest, I felt guilt.
Yeah, and it is a huge thing. Man, okay, second shiny nugget thing. When we get into working with our Venus and working with that feminine energy, one of the most natural first things that come up for women is guilt. It is guilt or it's shame, or like it almost moves from the in the body place where we're trying to come to receive, pop to the head. And from here, the story starts going. And what it has felt like for me, because it's what happened for me first too, is my body felt shameful. And I remember for me, the very first thing that happened as I started to feel that shame is I went to my stomach and this story kicked in about how I had had babies and I didn't have this flat stomach anymore and my hormones were different. So I'm not valuable anymore. I mean, it was this triage of story that just came up. So I think getting into the right containers as well, and people guiding and walking, women who have been there and have walked through that, because we're talking about it online, but I live in Spain where I watch 20-year-olds, men and women, talk about their cycle. It's the most natural, normal thing. So to us, we may be having a return to it, but be in the containers of people who can help you do that. Because that shame, that blame, the story connected to it, everything that comes up from that pelvic bowl is very, very real. It's very real.
It is. I love that. I'll have to unpack that a little bit more. So thank you so much, Stormie. So where do you hang out the most? I know you have an amazing YouTube channel, but where do you hang out the most?
Yeah, I do hang out the most on YouTube. I really enjoy being over there. I enjoy creating content. And a little bit more, I've been hanging out in my Venus Reset program with people, with women, walking them through, cleaning out that pelvic bowl, coming back to femininity. And yeah, so I'm in the online sphere, but I will be traveling around. So I'm sure I'll see some of you in an airport because I love them. They're like my favorite places. So will visit me there too.
I love it. And we'll have everything in the show notes. Stormie, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing your authentic self. And I love hearing the story about your move to Spain and the changes. It's really inspiring. So thank you for your time, your energy today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for everyone for listening and vibing in. It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.